Hi. So there I was working at Mecca Bookmakers, and at the time it was serving its purpose. I was getting better at it. I was managing larger and larger shops, and I could go to any shop at a moment's notice, open the safe, and run it. And it enabled me to have a small sports car, a very old small sports car, I have to say, but fun nevertheless. I left home, rented a flat. I had holidays abroad and some extended leave as well, and travelled a bit. And I enjoyed what I was doing, or at least I felt comfortable with what I was doing. Enjoyed is the wrong word. A betting shop can be a very confrontational place. I mean, especially if you are of a different racial origin to the people you're serving. Like, for example, if everybody is Afro-Caribbean, and as you can see, I'm not, then that adds a kind of another dimension to the situation, which is a them and us situation in any case. And my aim was to enforce the rules which I had to do of gaming and betting, but in a way that was fair and reasonable and understandable to the people that I regarded as customers. And I was also responsible for making the working experience for the other members of staff, sometimes two, three, or even a larger shop that could be 10, 12 people. I'd like to give them the feeling that they were doing something useful, they were helping, rather than they were just doing it because they had to. And small things make a lot of difference. I was, for example, I would make tea. I think everybody should take a turn in making it. Or I would share gratuities, because occasionally we got tips from people who'd won. And I think it's very important that everybody should get a share. The money would be handed just to the person who was paying out. And somebody who was working on the till might have taken the bet, wouldn't see that money unless it was properly shared with them. But it was an empty sort of environment. It was vacuous, really. I mean, you were making money from people whose problem was that they needed to gamble, and giving it to people who didn't have that problem so that they could enjoy it, and you were taking a bit of it for yourself. So it felt like it wasn't illegal to do it, but it didn't seem right either. And I couldn't see a lot of people older than me who were making a success out of it. There was a route to management. I could have moved up and become an area manager or something else, or branched out into another form of gambling, which a number of people did, to work in casinos as a croupier or as a pit boss or something like that. A cousin of mine did that, in fact. He worked in casinos all over the world, and he made a specialty of opening new businesses and advising tourist resorts on how to operate and how to start a new casino. But he made a career out of it, but I wouldn't really have wanted to. I don't gamble myself. I don't enjoy gambling. I think it's a bit of a waste of time, really. The more you gamble, the more you lose. I've been dog racing and I've been horse racing once each, and it's thrilling to watch. It's a spectacle. Those horses and those dogs, they really can run fast. And if you have a small wager on the outcome, it does add to the excitement of the evening. And if you won money, which I didn't, but if you did, it would be money that you could spend on, I don't know, having a night out or doing something that you couldn't otherwise do. But I occasionally these days buy a lottery ticket. Not very often, but I do occasionally, because I like to keep the dream alive that one day I might be rich and powerful. And I see a lottery ticket as a ticket to dream, really. The likelihood of me winning, I know, is infinitesimally small, but I like to keep the possibility open. After all, if you don't buy a ticket, you're definitely not going to win. In one of my endeavours to get away from gambling, I started work in an insurance broker's where some friends of mine already worked. And I understood that they were a little bit fly-by-night, a bit dodgy, but I thought, well, I could cope with that. But actually, when I got there and worked there, I quickly realised that the people that ran it and the people that owned it were embezzling any money that came through the premises, and they were engaged in large-scale fraud. And as a member of staff, you spent most of your time lying to customers or lying to insurance companies. They were taking the credit that was extended to them by insurance companies and the money that people were paying to insure their cars mostly, and spending it on themselves. It's a shame, actually, because it probably could have been a profitable business long term. It would have certainly employed fewer people. Most of our time was taken up fending off these angry customers. But if their money had been properly forwarded to the insurance companies and their forms had been filled out and sent in, there would have been repeat business, and it would have carried on, and a profit would have been made. They reminded me of another type of criminal, really, which is the people that break into your home to steal your daughter's piggy bank, and they do hundreds of pounds worth of damage in order to get £15 worth of small change. And that's the kind of mentality. It's very destructive. Anyway, I could see that this was a business in crisis, that it was heading for the buffers, and I didn't want to be there when the shit did finally hit the fan, which it soon would. So I left. And about the same time that I left, a friend of mine recommended to me that I do the knowledge and become a taxi driver. He was doing that, and he explained that a neighbour of his had also done that and found that it was possible to make a good living, and it was also a job that you could pick up and put down as you needed to. If you wanted to try something else, or you wanted to travel, or you could go away and come back and start work the next day and earn some money. And that kind of security appealed to me, and so I enrolled and started on the knowledge. But when you do the knowledge, you don't get any support. You don't have any money, so you need some income to live on while you're doing it. The first job I tried, I got in touch with somebody who took me to their place of work and said that there would be a job in it for me as well. That his work involved getting up early in the morning and going and cleaning pub toilets. And well, I lasted about 30 minutes at that, and I think I realised straight away that it really wasn't for me. So what I did was I looked back to Mecca Bookmakers, and I knew that they had a branch near the Arsenal football stadium, in fact, which they were keeping open primarily just to hold the license so that no other competitor could get in there and hold it. They had a much more profitable business around the corner, a large shop which was right on the route between the station and the football ground, and was very busy and very profitable. So they didn't want any competition. But this shop was very difficult for them to staff because it didn't make a profit. It was part-time. It opened at midday during the week, and nobody wanted to work there. The customers were mostly, the regular customers were mostly Jamaican men, and there were guys who worked at night. There were unemployed, or one or two of them were petty criminals. But at least two or three people who were the regulars there traded small amounts of marijuana. And I think some people found that intimidating and difficult to work in. But these were my kind of people. And so I had worked there in the past, and I knew that I could work there comfortably. And so I did. And mostly these, the people that came into the shop were passers-by. I was one or two Greek men, for example, who probably came in to score their marijuana and have a bet at the same time. There were also a number of Irish men, labourers, who they were a feature of London, of Britain at the time. They're not anymore. I mean, there aren't any Irish labourers, but at that time there were loads and loads of youngish men who'd come here from Ireland to make a living, and it wasn't a very satisfactory environment for them, let's say. And these guys would probably get paid on a Friday, go out on Friday night, go out again on Saturday, get drunk, and lose the rest of their wage in the betting shop in the afternoon, and then get very angry. And it could be quite intimidating, but I was often glad to have the strong perspex screen between me and them. I wouldn't encourage them to gamble. I wasn't there to encourage anybody to gamble. I personally think it's a waste of time, but it's voluntary. You can't stop people from doing it. Anyway, that's what I did. Oh, and the shop was, as I say, the customers were mostly Jamaican, regular people, and it was a glimpse into another world for me, and I made some lifelong friends there, and I love Jamaican culture to this day. I like the food, I like the music, I like the sense of humour, and I just like the people. Met some of them, not all of them, of course, and I've made friends there that I have today. But I was doing the knowledge, and it was very useful. I could go out and do the road work in the morning, and in the afternoon, between races, I had time to do the memory work of reciting the routes and memorizing them, which is what the knowledge really consisted of. But I shall talk about that in my next video. So, cheerio.